right, so I wanted to give my viewers an update on this variety of Charapita that I've been growing. A friend of mine from Peru sent me seeds to a variety he thinks is a dwarf variety, and after further examination, I had spoke to several botanists, and a few of them looked at it and they said it very well could be. It could be a cross, or it could be just another species that hasn't been logged in or designated or anything. And from what I understand, it's not very uncommon for a place like Peru where pepper plants actually originate from. So it's not uncommon. There's probably dozens, if not hundreds, of varieties of peppers that have never been documented. So they don't have any GRIF numbers, no CAP numbers, no CGN numbers, no PI numbers. There's nothing to designate them. They're just there. And that is true for some of the peppers that grow in the United States. They just generally categorize all tapine peppers that grow in the United States as Capsicum glaburatum, I think it's called, something like that, and they're all generally categorized, but that's actually not the case. There are several different varieties that would be a variant to that. So they've just never been classified, and maybe in the future they will be. So anyway, let's talk about this. This is the dwarf Charapita that I've been growing, and after having spoke to several botanists, they seem to be in line with it possibly being a different variety. And one of the things that they brought up that they noticed from the images and the videos I showed them is they said that the leaves themselves look a little bit different to them. Just the striations in the leaves and the flowers being a little bit smaller in general, lacking any color in them is also something, because sometimes the Charapitas have a slight green color to them. And what else did he say about it? He says, yeah, the plant is smaller in general, and, you know, it's just got these pods. All the peppers on it seem to be smaller than the general Charapita. Now, I just harvested all my peppers off of these plants over here, so they're pretty much empty. And, well, they're not empty, but I picked off all the ripe ones because I wanted to make more peppers. So I picked all the ripe ones off. I got them up front. Or I'd do a taste test for you, but I'm going to wait. And we'll maybe do a taste test at the end of the year for this. I know I taste tested in the beginning of the year because it was a small pepper, but it wasn't really official. So we'll do an official pod review on the dwarf Charapita. But according to him, he says that's what he thinks. With a little bit of my surprise, which I didn't know I was growing, believe it or not, because I grow so many varieties of peppers, that sometimes I forget what I'm actually growing. But believe it or not, let me show you something outside. And right here, this plant right here is a Charapita. This is the original, real version of the Charapita. This is what a Charapita plant should look like, and this is generally normally how big they get. This one stayed stunted in the beginning of the year, and it's kind of small, but this plant can easily get to 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. This thing can really branch out, really get wide, and really put a ton of pods out. But just to give you an idea on the size of the pod differences between the one I just showed you and here, you can see this plant's making pods now. So in general, you can see that the pods are much bigger. They're still green, they'll turn yellow. I'll do a pod review on this particular variety of Charapita at the end of the year. But in general, you can see the pod sizes of this is quite large compared to what you just seen inside. All of them are. Even the smallest ones, they're bigger than this biggest pod that's on that plant. And this doesn't have a whole lot of pods on it yet, but they are getting pods on it. And by the end of the year, by the end of September, this thing should be completely filled with pods. Not that they'll all be ripe, but they'll definitely be filled with pods. And we'll be able to give you a little bit better of a look at the end of the year and just show you what the Charapita should look like. Size, you know, pepper size and color and everything. And over here you can see that. See the size of those peppers? That's about right. That's what the Charapita should look like. About that size. They should generally be anywhere from round to elongated. Sometimes they get slightly lobed where it looks like a molar. You know what a tooth, you know the molar of your tooth? Kind of get that weird molar shape. Well, these peppers get that molar look to it. They look kind of like a molar. There's probably a couple right back there that might have. And so they do get that kind of a shape. If you look at the leaf on this plant too, you can see the leaf structure is quite different. Like, as you can see here, these leaves do look a little bit different. They're more round and lobe. The striations are quite different. They're not as pronounced. If you look at them long enough, you'll notice a lot more differences than what I can point out in this video. But the leaves definitely look different than the leaves that are on my dwarf Charapita. So there's definitely something going on here. In fact, here's a Charapita that fell, and you can see I don't know why it fell off. It happens. You can see sometimes they get these little lobes on the bottom. That sometimes happens. Not very often, but it does happen. You do get that. And, you know, this plant will be filled with peppers, so you're going to get all kinds of variations on it. But most of them are going to look like this, you know. They're going to be like that. Nice and round or whatnot. So, but I just wanted to show you that, show you the leaf, show you the difference in the leaf. I'll show you the other, I'll go back inside and show you the other leaf again, give you another look. That way you can get an idea what I'm talking about. But here, I'll stand up and show you the plant. Now you can see this plant's already about 30 inches tall. And again, this kind of was stunting out a little bit in the beginning for a while. But if this plant was to be planted out here at this size, this plant could easily reach 4 to 5 feet tall. But being we only got about a month left, it's probably not going to get any higher than here, which this top of this cage is 5 feet. I believe it is 4 feet or 5 feet. So yeah, this plant might already be about 3 feet tall already. Whereas the plant in the greenhouse that you're looking at only stays about this size and gets very bushy. But if you look at the leaves, again, this was something that a botanist pointed out, my friend there. If you look at the leaves, you can see they're quite different. They're more narrow, pointy, and the veins are more pronounced, and the leaves are much darker in general. So, I don't know. I don't know if that makes any difference. Here's an image of the flower. Alright, so that's what the flower looks like. And again, you can see the pod sizes on this particular variety is very small. These are very, very tiny pods. These pods, I've had them as small as the size of a pinhead, and they really don't get too much larger than the size of a pea. As you can see with the Charapilla outside, those pods get much bigger. So it's really hard to say what's going on with this. So we'll do a pod review at the end of the year for this. I just wanted to give some of you guys an update who is interested in this particular variety of Charapilla, and you might be wanting to know a little bit more about it, or you're following my blog on it. That way I can give you an update. So anyway, that's about it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.